specially priced. Only at Perkins Family Restaurants.
This is WHO TV 13 Des Moines.
Good morning. The government in the Philippines says it has smashed a coup attempt by troops loyal to former President Marcos. After a fight at a military base in which one person was killed and 40 wounded, the rebels seized a suburban broadcast complex where some are still holding out. A coup attempt in the Philippines, our top story today, Tuesday, January 27th, 1987.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel and Jane Pauley.
And hello, everyone. Bryant is scouting out Australia. We'll get his first report tomorrow. Here with me is John Palmer. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Jane. During this half hour of Today, we're going to talk about those kidnappings in Lebanon, the kidnappings that never seem to end, and then we'll preview the President's State of the Union address set for this evening.
Also coming up, Jim Brown wishes Hollywood a happy 100th. 227 star Jackée Harry will be here, and at 7:40, a chilling interview with mass murderer Charles Manson. But first, at the news desk, here's Bob Jamieson. Morning, Bob.
Thanks, Jane and John. Good morning. Manila is reported calm this morning following the attempted coup by mutinous troops loyal to Ferdinand Marcos. The rebellion was quickly put down by forces supporting President Corazon Aquino. But one person was killed and 40 others wounded when the rebel troops stormed 2 Air Force bases and seized a television station. More from NBC's Steve Mallory in Manila.
Rebel troops seized 2 Manila television stations in early morning raids in what was another coup attempt. They tried to capture 4 military bases in or near the capital. Several hundred pro-Marcos troops were involved. At one broadcast center, a few thousand of their civilian supporters tried to move in to become a human shield, mixing with government troops to protect the rebels inside. It was a scene reminiscent of the People Power Revolution that brought President Aquino to power nearly a year ago, but considerably smaller. Riot police clashed with the Marcos supporters. They were scattered with water hoses and tear gas. The government troops were able to restore control at the military bases and one TV station by mid-afternoon. In a nationwide TV broadcast, President Aquino said she would deal harshly with the rebels.
There is a time for reconciliation and a time for justice and retribution. That time has come.
Captured troops said they weren't really Marcos loyalists, that they had tried to protect military bases from communist guerrilla attacks. Some pro-Aquino and pro-Marcos supporters clashed in sporadic but limited confrontations around the capital. By late afternoon, all appeared normal at the presidential palace. Extra troops that had been deployed here early this morning were gone. The president said she and the military were in full control. The situation well at hand. Steve Mallory, NBC News, Manila.
There were unconfirmed reports, meanwhile, that Marcos had planned to try to return to the Philippines. In Hawaii, where he is living in exile, Marcos told reporters this morning that he saw the coup attempt coming. In Beirut this morning, there's still no sign of hostage negotiator Terry Witte. The Anglican church representative disappeared from sight last Tuesday to negotiate with the radical Muslim kidnappers of 2 American hostages. So far, there has been no confirmation of a Kuwaiti report that Witte is being held under house arrest by the kidnappers. But in London, Anglican church officials are now expressing concern for Witte's safety. In West Germany, meanwhile, there is no sign Mohammed Hamadi, whose arrest touched off the latest wave of kidnappings, will be extradited to the United States anytime soon. NBC's Brian Stewart reports from Frankfurt.
2 weeks after the arrest of suspected terrorist Mohammed Hamadi, police here are still investigating his connections in West Germany. Last night, they were trying to learn more about his brother, Abbas Hamadi, who lived for some time in southern Germany. They questioned Abbas Hamadi's wife, Maria, about her husband and searched her home. She says she saw both men together early in January, before Mohammed Hamadi's arrest.
Mein Schwager war jetzt am 5. Januar.
My brother-in-law came back January 5th and stopped here for a short visit. And he also talked to my husband. But as I also said, in the Arab language, I could not follow that.
Mohammed Hamadi, meanwhile, is still being held in investigative custody, where he was visited by a lawyer this morning.
I saw Mr. Hamadi, yes.
How is he?
He's fine.
What are you going to do about his case? Is he going to fight extradition? Is he going to fight the explosives charge?
Right now, I'm not permitted to give any comment.
Investigators are still looking for any connection between Mohammed Hamadi and terrorist networks inside West Germany. The level of police activity suggests that important new developments are still possible in this case. Brian Stewart, NBC News, Frankfurt.
President Reagan ends 2 months of virtual seclusion tonight when he delivers the State of the Union address. Though the Iran-Contra controversy has dominated the White House, it is not expected to dominate tonight's address. And the White House is saying the speech will be business as usual. NBC News will cover the State of the Union address live beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. There was trouble during the night at a maximum security prison on the north side of Pittsburgh. State and city police armed with shotguns and wearing flak jackets were called to the Pennsylvania State Penitentiary after fires broke out. Inmates were reported running free inside. 2 fires broke out inside the huge stone prison, and there were reports that 3 guards and 1 inmate had been injured. In Seattle this morning, the score is Sea Lions 3, state game officials nothing, and the contest may be over. The game officials failed again to stop the hungry sea lions from devouring the annual run of Puget Sound steelhead trout. And as NBC's David Burrington reports, the sly sea lions have game officials on the verge of giving up.
The sea lions have been back in the locks below Lake Washington, gorging themselves, ever since 2 attempts to net them last week failed because the animals figured out how to swim under the net. But this time, game experts had a new tactic.
We are going to try and keep the animals to rest during the time that the net is in the water.
Game officials figured a barrage of underwater firecrackers would so frighten a cornered sea lion that it would not be able to think straight and would crash into the net, entangling itself. Other experts added to the confusion. But the sea lion stayed cool and slipped over the net, which nobody had expected.
He's learning too. He's smart, and it's just a matter of we're trying to learn to trick him, and he's learning just as rapidly.
Most of those who came to watch had no sympathy for the effort.
The reason it's so screwed up is because the government's doing it.
Well, I'm rooting for the sea lions.
2 more attempts to trap sea lions failed when the animals slipped out as soon as they saw the net approaching.
Are you getting a little discouraged? Absolutely. This is an extremely frustrating and disappointing operation.
Game officials finally decided to suspend the effort. It's cost a lot of money, and the sea lions have hardly missed a meal, to the delight of those who've been keeping track. David Burrington, NBC News, Seattle.
It's 7:07, Jane.
You know, every time they come up with a new plan, they come on TV and they announce it in advance. I think those sea lions have been watching TV.
They're among our most loyal viewers.
No doubt, and most intelligent.
Yes, they certainly are. And as being an old-time steelhead fisherman from Seattle and having spent many a rainy day trying to catch those steelhead are pretty smart too.
Oh, yeah.
But I am rooting for the sea lions.
All
yes.
right.
Okay. Cold enough for you outside? Coldest so far in New York City. 11 degrees. You should have seen her come in this morning. Bundled up to hold off the cold weather. And you folks down in the south, that's what you've got. Somebody closed the deep freezer door at Nashville, 5 degrees. Freeze warnings are up for northern Florida, parts of Georgia, including Savannah and South Carolina. Is it going to warm up this afternoon? Not much. The freezing line, that dotted line across northern Georgia and southern South Carolina. It is going to remain cold on the eastern half of the country. That's because the jet stream is pulling down cold air from the upper Midwest right down over the deep south. A bit of good news, though, that western branch of the jet stream bringing in some mild air from the southwest up over the mountains. Denver is high today with plenty of sunshine, 60 degrees, about 30 degrees above normal. Yesterday at the beach, it was 86 degrees in Los Angeles. A little cooler today because of some clouds there. But in the northwest, this is the new storm that we're talking about today. A winter storm slamming on shore later today, bringing with us some heavy mountain snows of 1 to 2 feet tonight and tomorrow morning. Hefty rains from Washington down through the San Francisco area and some strong gale force winds there also. Meanwhile, in the east, the storm has left, moved out over the coast, and back behind it, some cold air, light snows over the Great Lakes. That's the national weather. Now here's what's happening in your part of the world.
Good morning, everyone. This is meteorologist Tim Hedder. Clear to partly cloudy today. Winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20. A high temperature all the way up towards 40 degrees.
More updated weather information in the next half hour. And now here again is Jane Pauley.
Thank you, Joe. On Close Up this morning, Americans in Lebanon. 8 are in captivity. Over 200 others are free to leave but don't. Why not? That question was put to Barbara Sayers from Toledo, Ohio, but working in Lebanon now. She is the coordinator of the Communication Skills Program at American University of Beirut.
Well, I have a job here, and it's one that I mean, I have been planning to leave for some time anyway, and I will be leaving before long. But I'm in the middle of a semester, well, actually near the end of a semester, and it's just not on to drop things in the middle of a term and take off. Up until now, women have not been targeted for kidnapping, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it stays that way. As far as risk in general is concerned, anybody can be in the wrong place when a bullet lands or a shell lands, and I'm not at any greater risk in that respect than any other person would be in living in this country, American or otherwise.
Should she and other Americans in Lebanon be ordered home? We go to our Washington newsroom now, where Indiana Republican Senator Richard Lugar of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee joins us. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Jane.
Well, what about it? Should she be ordered to leave?
Yes, she should be. She should get out of Lebanon, and so should all other Americans. They're in a war zone. They are at risk for themselves, but they also pose a risk for their country. We've come to some new conclusions, I think. The media, the White House, the Congress have all discovered the American people do not want to trade arms for hostages. And furthermore, Americans cannot be anticipated to try to extricate people from every war zone situation throughout the world. So it seems to me that the President's message to people in Lebanon is clear as it was to people, Americans in Libya. Perhaps there are other areas that are war zones in which Americans who are civilians ought not to be involved.
Well, given that she and hundreds of Americans there have made the decision evidently to stay, then what do you say to them?
Ultimately, I suspect we make it illegal so that at least the force of law is on the side of Americans of common sense who simply want others to get out. You know, clearly the American heartstrings are pulled daily by the relatives of hostages, people who have their own business in Libya or Lebanon or what have you, but who have no business being there beyond really the power of the American government to protect them. And they are vulnerable to the blackmail, to the kind of foreign policy choices which Americans have decided that we do not want to make.
Is there a distinction to be made between hostages taken days ago and hostages taken a year ago? I mean, you're still not suggesting that we will do for hostages taken previously anything that we will not do now for hostages taken recently, are you?
Well, I think that there was a presumption until a short while ago that the American public wanted the President, wanted the Congress and others to do almost anything to get any American hostage back from anywhere. I think those illusions are over. The polls that indicate that the President should not have even considered trading arms for hostages show convincing that Americans do not want our entire foreign policy to be pulled around by individual Americans who are in these zones. Now that recognition comes late, perhaps for those in government as well as the public as a whole, but it is clearly there. And it seems to me we have an obligation now as Americans, whether we're in Lebanon, Libya, or anywhere else, to get out of harm's way.
Can the President restate that policy of no negotiation, no deals, with any credibility now?
Yes, I think he can, and he will. The Secretary of State has enunciated it several times. We are in the process, as you know, of trying to investigate to what extent anybody in our government was involved in alleged trades. But whether or not that occurred in the past, it is clear that it should not occur in the future, and that American public opinion now shows a solidarity behind that might not have been apparent.
What do you expect or want to hear the President say about the Iran arms scandal tonight in the State of the Union address?
I would like for him to say that there were three broad foreign policy aspects: a new relationship with Iran, attempts to free the hostages, attempts to keep the Contras going in Nicaragua. That was what he was about, that he has been trying diligently in all of those directions. And even if there have been tactical errors, they were errors in the pursuit of broad foreign policy objectives. Seems to me that those are what the President has been attempting to do. They were bold initiatives. There were failures in execution along the way. It seems to me the American people would understand that, and that essentially those particular arguments would be behind us and we would move on to a new agenda.
All right. Senator Lugar, thank you for joining us. In a moment, some advanced thoughts from a couple of experts on what may be Ronald Reagan's most important State of the Union address. But first, this is Today on NBC.
Most hot dogs don't quite make it to the end of the bun, so you're left with the end of the bun.
Here you go, Ralph.
That's why Hillshire Farm created bun-sized wieners. Kids like them because they taste great. Moms like them because they're made with quality cuts of beef and pork. And they're longer, so they fit the bun better. You get a bite of hot dog for every bite of bun.
Sorry, Ralph.
Bun-sized wieners from Hillshire Farm.
Just look for this nice young man on the label.
Armour remembers.
Remember when you lost your first tooth? You thought you'd really miss it. But when it turned into a quarter, you didn't miss it so much. Well, today there's Armour's lower salt meats and cheeses, and you're afraid you'll miss that salt. Same great Armour taste, lower salt and all. Now that's something you can sink your teeth into. Lower salt bacon, ham, meats, and cheeses from Armour.
Clayton's Arts and Crafts with 4 Des Moines locations is your headquarters for all do-it-yourself art and craft supplies. See Clayton's for all knitting or crochet instructions and supplies. Also counted cross-stitch and plastic canvas supplies. Or try a new latch hook rug or needle art kit. The friendly assistants at Clayton's can frame your handcrafted work for you. Stop in soon to see the area's most complete selection of yarn and needle art supplies at Clayton's, because Clayton's has a new idea for you.
Michael, it's time for your medicine.
The registered pharmacists at Kmart fill over 20 million prescriptions each year.
It isn't going to taste sticky, is it?
Professionals using brand name pharmaceuticals or generic equivalents were allowed.
Okay, I'm ready.
That's quality you can trust at a Kmart price.
Now, that wasn't so bad, was it?
Not bad for medicine.
America's favorite store, Kmart, the saving place.
President Reagan's advisors called tonight's State of the Union the most important speech of his entire presidency. He faces a combatant Congress and an increasingly skeptical public. For some thoughts on this, we turn now to 2 veteran Reagan watchers. In Washington, Lou Cannon, White House correspondent for the Washington Post, who has been really covering Reagan since his first campaign for governor in California back in 1966. And in Chicago, historian Garry Wills, author of a new Reagan biography. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lou, we've all heard this before. This is the most important speech of the Reagan presidency, but this one really is terribly important, isn't it?
Yes, it is, John. As you remember from your White House days, this president has almost a supernatural ability in his belief in his ability to rescue himself with a speech. And he's got to do 3 things tonight. He has to show, first of all, that he has the vitality to be more than a caretaker president. He's been isolated for 2 months. He's got to try once more to tell a story that the American people find very unconvincing on Iran, and he has to demonstrate that he has an agenda that goes beyond Iran, and that he has something that he wants to accomplish in the last 2 years of his presidency.
Gary, do you think the president tonight should right off the bat head-on take on this issue of the Iran-Contra affair?
Well, in a sense, that's out of character. He has always denied difficulties in the past. He has always told a cover story and hoped that people will believe it, and people wanted to believe it. Now he's getting conflicting signals. People are saying, fool us, it makes us feel good, but they're also saying, don't fool us anymore. After you said that government as accountability is undesirable and unnecessary, now give an account of actual procedures and how you did this. When he first tried to do that, he told us about an airplane that was not full of arms and that a third country was not involved. It's going to be very difficult for him to get into details of explanation and certainly of apology. That goes against his whole charm.
But doesn't he need to do this to get this issue behind him, to get on? He has 2 more years of his presidency.
That's the problem, that he has conflicting signals, conflicting needs to respond to in the audience and in himself. I suppose the way to do it is to deny and pretend that you're explaining, pretend that you are apologizing, at least in the sense that you're, quote, taking responsibility.
Lou, you
now remember,
excuse me,
he took responsibility after the Beirut bombing, and that meant that no particulars of responsibility had to be assessed in the military.
Lou, you mentioned a few minutes ago the president's been pretty much out of touch. Of course, he has had his illness and his surgery for the last couple of months. You say that he needs tonight to demonstrate a strength. Do you mean a physical strength?
Well, he has to show that he has vitality. His friend, former Senator Laxalt, says last week that the intangibles of this speech are as important as the substance, and I agree with that. But the operation, which we all wish the president a speedy recovery from, has been used as an excuse by the White House. In fact, he's been largely out of touch. The operation was January 5th. He's been out of public view since the failure of his November 19th news conference to explain these points that Gary correctly says he's in conflict. There's one other thing, though. I'm not sure he's able to explain it. Ronald Reagan is, of course, not a detail man, but that's a euphemism. That has always meant that he has a grasp of sort of an agenda and of really very little operational elements of his own policy. He was interviewed yesterday by the Tower Commission. The report that I have is that he didn't have a detailed understanding. I think the most that could be expected from the president tonight on Iran was that he could at least get himself out of the passive voice in which he said mistakes were made and acknowledge, as the draft did at least last week, that we made serious mistakes. It may be too much to hope that he could say, I made a serious mistake, which I do think the American people are looking for.
Gary, one of the weekly news magazines brought up this question: is the president now more out of touch than ever before? That's a question that comes up from time to time. Do you feel, would you answer in the affirmative there?
Well, it's hard to know because he has been out of touch for years. And we have, in a sense, encouraged him to be and liked him because he was. He rose above staff differences. He rose above contradictions within his own policy.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt. And we thank you for being with us this morning. This is Today on NBC.
Thank you.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something.
Krolof's Furniture decides to throw a sale. Do we have a sale? It's Krolof's half-price furniture spectacular. The lowest prices of the year. Dinettes and bedroom furniture. Sleeper sofas and family room furniture. Save 50% and more on hundreds of beautiful home furnishings. It's all here at Krolof's Furniture. Buy now, no payments till April. The selection is fantastic, the price is even better. All right, everybody, quick, line up. We're ready for you.
I lost 63 pounds eating meals like spaghetti and meatballs, Salisbury steak, chili, desserts like chocolate pudding, chocolate frozen delight. Nutrisystem foods are really great. On my last diet, I thought I was going to starve. I lost 63 pounds on Nutrisystem, and I loved every bite. I just ate my way to success.
Call Nutrisystem now. We succeed where diets fail you.
Welcome to Vision Express. Listen to why thousands of people across the country are switching to Vision Express for their new eyeglasses.
My time's important to me, and I like getting my glasses in an hour.
I think it's fantastic for anybody that's in a hurry, and to get quality service and good glasses, they should definitely come here.
Remember, Vision Express means finest quality and professional service. Call this number now for an eye examination or bring in your prescription. Vision Express in Des Moines South Ridge Mall next to Sears.
When you're budgeting for a corn and soybean herbicide, you need the best performance at the best cost. That herbicide is Dual. And this year, that excellent grass control will cost you less in most cases than ever before. Longer-lasting Dual. You already know it's the best performer in these rows. This year, we improved its performance in these rows. Ask your dealer about longer-lasting Dual. The best control now costs less.
Review after a station break.
Arms to Iran?
Had to save the hostages.
Billions for Star Wars.
For national security.
Is that still deductible?
Confused about the State of the Union? NBC News puts the facts in focus tonight.
From Iowa's award-winning news center, this is News Center 13, live from Des Moines. Brought to you by Bob Brown Chevrolet, Isuzu.
Good morning, everyone. Diane Roberts here on this Tuesday. If you're just waking up and you're going to walk outside, Tim Edrick says there's a dusting of snow. Of course, what does he know? He thinks it's Monday. Tim?
It is Tuesday. There's plenty of sunshine going to be out there a little bit later on today, so all that snow should go away. Right now, it's 7:25. We're talking about 27 degrees. Winds out of the northwest at about 13 miles per hour, making for a wind chill of 8. It will be a little bit breezy today, but as I said, we'll look for clear to partly cloudy skies and plenty of sunshine for this Tuesday. Take a look now at the region map, and I don't think there it is. We do have a trough of low pressure, an extended area of low pressure running over the state right now. It's slowly moving off to the east, pushing the snow and pushing the clouds off to the east as well. High temperatures today in eastern Iowa in the 30s, in western and central Iowa in the 40s. As you head into Nebraska and Kansas, temperatures will basically be in the 50s with plenty of sunshine as well. Here's a look at your local forecast. Clear to partly cloudy today. Winds will be out of the northwest at about 10 to 20 miles per hour, so a little bit breezy with a high temperature of 40 degrees. Tonight we'll look for partly cloudy skies, winds light and variable, and a low temperature near 20. And that's a look at the weather. Have a good Tuesday, Diane.
Thanks, Tim. The cost of clean water is about to go up here in Des Moines. A family of 4 that now pays $48 a month could be paying as much as $65 a month as early as April. The money is needed to continue funding the new wastewater treatment plant under construction. The increase was approved by City Council last night, and we may see more increases in the next 3 years. Reverend Jesse Jackson wound up his 3-day Iowa visit by talking to striking deer workers and to students at North High School. Jackson was advising the students against drug abuse, saying he almost became addicted when he was in high school. He said it's important to be strong and have peer support in order to overcome drug problems. I'll be back with more news after this.
Want to buy an apple? Find a grocer who has a few. His price may be 25 cents an apple. Another grocer has perhaps a dozen. His price, 20 cents per apple. Now find one who has a bushel, and his price for an apple is only 15 cents. It's the same when it comes to buying the car, truck, or van of your choice. And the dealer with more of them by far is still Bob Brown, Chevrolet Isuzu. Now, where will you buy your apple?
While Jackson was at North High School, I was at an elementary school. It seems we all have this perception of opera as some big woman singing high notes, usually in a foreign language, but the students at Hannawalt are learning what it's really all about. This is the first day of teaching, and students seem to be picking up the points.
To expose young children to opera at a very early age in order to have audiences primed for the future.
Well, I think it's fun, but I mean, sure. I think people would like it. It's not just a big fat lady singing there, but it's lots of people and singing and doing actions and moves.
The 3-year program is privately funded and expects to reach 50,000 kids who will spread the word about opera. Diane Roberts, News Center 13. That is it for news and weather on this Tuesday. As Tim told you, we've got a dusting of snow out there, a little bit of slippery areas, but nothing really to worry out. He says there's sun in the forecast for today, looking for highs in the 30s or 40s. Hard to believe, isn't it? We'll send you back to the Today Show with Jane Pauley and John Palmer since Bryant Gumbel is in Australia. Have yourself a nice day. Bye-bye.
I want to tell you about a wonderful new restaurant, The Choice. They have a great selection, beginning with an excellent soup and salad bar. Their entrees include meats, light flaky fish, delicious fried chicken. Oh, and they have an open flame grill with barbecued ribs, chicken, pork chops, and at dinner, shish kebabs. Plus, there's juicy roast beef, carved the way you like it. Where else can you enjoy all this and more for under $4 for lunch, under $5 for dinner, including beverage and dessert? The Choice, all you care to eat smorgasbord, 1801 22nd Street.
Ever missed an opportunity? You won't at Slumberland's Golden Opportunity Sale. You're going to see 4-piece sleep sets in any size, twin, full, or queen, at one incredibly low price of just $297 for the whole works. That includes carpet roller bed frame, Sealy box spring, and mattress, and solid brass headboard by Drescher. Buy all this anywhere else, you'd pay as much as $717. So don't do that. Come to Slumberland right now and pay just $297 for a 4-piece sleep set. Remember, opportunity only knocks once.
Don't it make your brown eyes blue? You know the song, but did you know it can be done? I'm Anita Walker. We'll show you how in our health team report tonight at 6 on News Center 13.
This is WHO TV 13 Des Moines.
And we're back at 7:30. I'm Jane Pauley with John Palmer. Howard Bryant is now in Australia, and we'll be hearing from him tomorrow. In fact, I'll be joining him there shortly.
Good for you. How shortly? Not right away, I trust.
Leaving Wednesday after the program.
I just want to make sure you'd be here for the rest of the morning.
You bet.
And coming up in the rest of this morning, in this half hour, convicted murderer Charles Manson talks about guilt and remorse and other things in an interview with Today correspondent Heidi Schulman at San Quentin Prison, which has been the place where Manson's been kept for the past 16 years. Jane? Or Gene?
Either one. We'll all go to the Critics' Corner together, hold hands, and talk about Critical Condition, Richard Pryor's new movie.
Also, Jack A. Harry from NBC's 227. But first, at the news desk, our own Bob Jamieson.
Jane, in Lebanon this morning, there is no confirmation of a report that hostage negotiator Terry Witte may have himself been taken captive. A Kuwaiti news agency had said Witte is held by kidnappers under house arrest. But this morning in London, the Archbishop of Canterbury said church officials still are not sure.
At this point, we have no direct evidence that Terry Witte is being held against his will. Needless to say, we continue to check daily with our contacts and daily remember him in our prayers here, as I hope that others who read or hear this statement will do the same.
In the Philippines, President Corazon Aquino says her government is still in control this morning after an attempted coup failed. Troops loyal to Ferdinand Marcos still control a television station in Manila, but the government has regained control of 2 military bases briefly taken over. Earlier in Manila, about 500 people chanting "We want Marcos" demonstrated in favor of those trying to oust Mrs. Aquino. But that rally was broken up by police using tear gas and water cannons. President Aquino went on TV saying the situation was well in hand and that she was still in control. Inmates at Pennsylvania's Western Penitentiary clashed with guards this morning, setting fires and barricading themselves inside part of the prison. Officials say there are at least 2 major fires burning in the prison, but firefighters have so far been unable to get inside. Some people have been hurt, but it is not known how many or how seriously. Most of the inmates are back in their cells, but some remain barricaded in the prison auditorium. Football fans in Denver are saying even after a loss in the Super Bowl, the Broncos are still number 1. 100,000 cheering fans jammed downtown Denver on Monday for a ticker tape parade to officially welcome the team back from Pasadena. The players, in a sea of blue and orange, vowed wait till next year. From the crowd, though, you'd hardly know that they lost. The homecoming for the Giants was a bit more low-key this morning, with a much smaller crowd on hand when the champions arrived back at Giant Stadium. The official celebration at the stadium takes place later this morning. It's 7:33. Jane?
Thank you, Bob. As we've reported, the United States is awaiting response to our request of Germany to extradite accused hijacker Mohammed Ali Hamadi. Hamadi faces charges of air piracy and murder for the hijacking of TWA Flight 847 and has now been identified by several passengers from that flight. Joining us now are 2 of those passengers in our Chicago bureau, Carlson, and here in New York, Peter Hill. We were just talking, as far as you are concerned, there has never been any doubt that Hamadi is the guy on the plane. Why are you so sure?
Well, for one reason, I sat next to him on the plane when we first boarded, and I spent 3 days with the man, and I had a considerable time to have his image burned in my memory, and that is the man.
You were not roughed up personally, were you?
That is correct. I was not.
Did you see him beating up anybody else?
No, I did not.
Would you testify against him if you were extradited?
Absolutely.
If so, what would be the nature of your testimony? Just that he was there?
For one thing, because of the opportunity I had while sitting next to the 2 hijackers, for instance, this is the man that brought the weapons on board the plane. And that might be significant.
Let me go now to Chicago. Mr. Carlson, you have a reason to know this man intimately, do you? Do you recognize Hamadi as the man on the plane who beat you up?
When I saw his picture last night, Jane, there was no question it was him.
As I have said, he beat you. Why did he beat you?
Well, they identified me as having something to do with the U.S. government. They found my red passport.
And yet, he didn't kill you.
Well, it was close. I was in the cockpit for about 4.5 hours. And I went through several beatings. At one point, they thought I was dead. And then, of course, at the end, we got the fuel in Algiers. And then I told him that I had a wife and a baby girl. And, of course, that saved my life, or at least he spared me at that point.
What, do you think that because you identified yourself as a husband and father, you touched some chord?
Well, what it did, I think, it brought him back to treating me as some kind of a human being instead of an object, because he told me after we took off that he too had a wife and a baby girl. They'd been killed during the bombings in Beirut.
Did you respond in kind, or do you now see him as a terrorist only, or perhaps as a victim?
No, I still feared him all the way back to Beirut. I still thought that he was going to use me again, possibly either to kill me or to beat me for fuel or whatever they needed.
But now, do you see him purely in terms as a terrorist who you'd like to see pay for his crimes?
Oh, absolutely. He was, what he did to us is almost unimaginable. It's almost indescribable, in addition, of course, to killing Bob Steedham.
Would you hesitate to testify against him?
I don't think you'll find very many of the passengers on the plane that wouldn't testify against him. We all went through something that I don't think we'll ever forget.
For both of you, already in Beirut, a dozen people have been kidnapped. We speculate because of the extradition request of this man. Is it worth it to pursue it at the risk of costing perhaps more lives? Yes, no?
Absolutely. I think it's a matter of law, and they should bring him back here, and they should put him on trial for what he did.
I agree, totally.
Do you see any deterrent effect?
No.
I don't think you can deal with those people. I don't think you can trust them past any point, and no matter what happened, they could turn around and do the same thing all over again tomorrow.
Would you elaborate, Mr. Hill? You say absolutely it would be worth it, but yet you don't...
Well, I think if we back down at this point, you know, all of our policies that we've been voicing in the last few months, which are now somewhat skeptical, I think we need to reaffirm our stand against terrorism so that our own people here and the rest of the world believe us.
The West Germans are agonizing over the decision. Do you realistically expect that he will be extradited?
Realistically, I have my severe doubts that he'll ever end up here.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Carlson, for joining us from Chicago as well.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this.
When your name is Hilton, you learn that every guest deserves a thank you. So thanks a million.
Only Hilton says thank you with a gift for every guest every day you stay. Gifts like upgrades on Hertz cars, free luxury cruises on Cunard, and a year of free stays at Hilton. There are no points to add up, nothing to keep track of, and nothing else like it in the hotel business. A gift for every guest every day.
Nobody says thank you like Hilton. Thank you.
The front-wheel drive Dodge Lancer is the performance sedan that will thrill you all the way to the red line, hold you to the dotted line, cover you down the line, and impress you with its bottom line. Dodge Lancer, with prices starting at $98.52. Dodge, setting new standards of performance.
Isn't it nice to know that you never need to worry about your printing? Because there's always a Sir Speedy Printing Center close by. Just leave your worries on our doorstep, and you'll leave knowing that your job is being handled by professionals. That you'll get it back right, and right on time. Isn't it nice to know that Sir Speedy will always make you look good? Sir Speedy Printing Centers. Look for us in the white pages.
If you've got some snow on your walk, you might get it shoveled because I understand there's a new delivery on the way, Joe?
That's right. Mother Nature is providing us another storm. You can see it on the edge of the map here over the Pacific Northwest, and you can see it perhaps best on this morning's satellite photograph. See those clouds streaking over Washington and Oregon in the upper left-hand side of your image? That will scoot across the country and give us some more snow to the East Coast by the end of the week, because we do have a winter storm moving onshore. Winter storm advisories will be posted for the Cascades as far south as the Sierras and Lake Tahoe. Some of these mountains could expect 3 feet of snow by Wednesday. Very strong winds here, and all that will traverse right across the country. So Denver, enjoy your 60 degrees you're going to have today. Plenty warm there. Mild temperatures, mild down to the south. San Antonio's high, 74 degrees today. And look at this. New Orleans is a chilly 27 degrees this morning, only warming up into the 50s later on this afternoon. The East Coast, cold but dry. That's the national weather. Now here's what's happening in your neighborhood. Well, places like St. Louis with some light snow. Cool, 58 degrees. New York, 25 and sunny. Time now.
Good morning, everyone. This is meteorologist Tim Hedrick.
Thanks, Joe. 16 years ago, Charles Manson was sentenced to die in San Quentin's gas chamber for the Tate LaBianca murders. Within a year, Californians did away with capital punishment, so Manson's sentence was commuted to life in prison. Now there's a book, Manson in his own words, as told to Newell Emmons. Emmons is an ex-con who first met Manson while serving a short term in prison for car theft. And true to the unwritten code of the underworld, Manson cooperated on the book because he owed Emmons a favor. Today, correspondent Heidi Schulman went to talk with Manson to find out, after all these years, is there any remorse? Is he sorry? Does he feel guilty? Well, then we here on the Today Show staff debated among ourselves whether to air his answers. Half of our staff said absolutely not. Even though Manson doesn't make a cent off this book, let's not give him any publicity. But another half said yes, believing that some of you are as curious as some of us are. Well, at any rate, here is what Manson had to say.
Charles Manson is serving his life sentence for murder in San Quentin prison. That is where we talked with him and with Newell Emmons, author of Charles Manson in his own words. Our conversation lasted an hour and a half, during which Manson was sometimes lucid, sometimes incoherent, and frequently manipulative.
From your words, as Mr. Emmons quotes them in this book, it's clear that you were guilty of murder, and yet he says in all his conversations with you, he never heard you express remorse. Have you never felt it?
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's going to happen when I get out of here? Guilty. I wouldn't do anything that I felt guilty about.
You don't feel guilty at all?
There's no need to feel guilty. I haven't done anything I'm ashamed of. Maybe I haven't done enough. I might be ashamed of that, for not doing enough, for not giving enough, for not being more perceptive, for not being aware enough, for not understanding, for being stupid. Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something. You know, if I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing. It'd be just like walking to the drugstore. Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like Newell
Emmons is an ex-convict who first met Manson in prison in the 50s. He claims he wrote the Manson book after 7 years of conversation with Manson to show that he's no leader, no guru, but just a loser.
Why should anyone care to read this book?
My purpose when I first started was virtually to destroy the myth. I showed that he's not as complex or as the occult leader, or etc., that he's been projected as being.
I don't fit in society, and I am incompetent. I'm definitely incompetent.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, I say that. I say that. No, there's nothing wrong with being incompetent because you don't have to do as much. If you're competent, then you got a lot to do, see. But there's another aspect of it too. I've learned to reflect. I just reflect back. I know I don't know. I know I'm stupid. I admit I'm a petty whatever. I've never been a success at anything. I even got to the point where I didn't want to be a success at anything. What would being a success, what does that mean, you know? Money? Oh, I've had all the money in the world 3 times and I had to give it back. That's a stupid little game, you know? My awareness and my consciousness is not the same as somebody that goes to school and has a mom and dad. See, not having parents have left me in another dimension, so to say, you know? I don't have no bad going for nothing. I don't judge. I hardly even think about too much. It's hard for me to remember breakfast. In fact, if I didn't have 2 or 3 girls to help me, I would pretty much be lost and I wouldn't know what the hell I'm doing.
You write that in all your conversations with Charles Manson, he never expressed remorse.
Have you seen any today? I mean, perhaps he believes totally in his own mind that he's not guilty.
You guys got this stuck in your head that I've murdered somebody. You've got it stuck in your brain that I murdered somebody. What do you want to call me a murderer for? I've never killed anyone. I don't need to kill anyone. I think it. I have it here.
Who is this man you've been talking to for 7 years?
Well, to me, he's a convict that was a failure. I mean, he's the person that is not capable. I mean, and I still lay it to the way the book reads. It wasn't to start cleaning the earth or anything. I mean, there was a drug burn that initiated the first one, and the black guy, the first tone of violence that surfaced anyway. And then the death of Gary Hinman, there again, it was dope related, and it just kept feeding from there, and so it had no spiritual aspects at all. It was just a bunch of guys out there, kids out there that was living and doing their own thing, and it used to be party time and play time, and then through drugs and the whole bit, well, it started getting a little bit nasty, a little bit meaner, and first thing you know, there's murders.
In my whole life, I've burglarized a grocery store, stole some nickels and dimes, busted open a stamp machine, stole a few automobiles, and cashed a couple checks. I'm a petty car thief. I've been with prostitutes and bums and winos and all my life. This street is my world. I don't pretend to go uptown and be anything fancy. I can, but I find more real in the world that I'm in than I do the tinsel. And the real world is the one I have to deal with every day, you know. Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
In just a minute, Jane talks with one of the stars of the series 227, right after these messages.
You know, life's too short to worry about impressing other people. I mean, have you ever been really impressed by a person's credit card? What matters about a credit card is how it impresses me. MasterCard gives me what I want, and anything is possible. It goes where I want to go. Could be Timbuktu. When I want, day or night. Don't talk